Okay guys, I'm going to talk about Excel sheets today, and for those who missed out on the lesson or needs to catch up on it, here it goes. Each one of these little rectangular blocks is called a cell, and when we click on, for example, C or E, those are each called a column. These numbers on the side will be called rows. So we've got cells, columns and rows. Up here we've got the formula bar where formulas come in, and that's why Excel is so good, because we can use formulas to quickly calculate a lot of different stuff, and we'll over time go over some of those. Okay, for now, just to get a few numbers into our sheet, and of course we will just type it up as normal. So I can, for example, put 23, 45, 34, 35, 46 and so on. That's 45 actually, and you can see we type it as normal. I can also type words, for example, car. I can also go to the side, John, and so on. And you can see that how Excel shows all of this. So if I want to clear this, I'm just going to right click and I go to clear contents, and all of that is gone. Now, to get some random numbers into this spreadsheet, I'm going to use a formula, and it's always a formula. We always would start with an equal mark. Equals rand between, and I put an open bracket and say between which numbers do I want it, and I'm going to put in between 10 and comma, let's make it 75. Close the bracket and enter, and there's my formula. If I would go back to cell A1, you can see is the address bar where it shows which cell I'm in. You can see there's my formula bar with my formula. If I would click on it again, that 44 will change to a different random number between 10 and 75. Let's try it again. I'm just going to see if I click there, and it changed to, for example, 56. Click on it again, it went to 11. Okay, each time changing to a different random number between those parameters that I've set, 10 and 75. It could have been, for example, -5 to 25, or -10 to 1,000, or 20 to 120, whatever we want. Okay, to fill these cells, I can easily, you can see there's a little blue dot there. Now some Excel sheets will just show this as a black little square, but as I move this outlined plus sign to it, it becomes a solid plus sign. And when I click on that and I drag it to the right, you can see it copies the cells that I've got. So I'm going to copy it up to H, and you can see all the random numbers there. I'm going to do the same, move it over, wait until it becomes dark, and then I bring it down. Now I'm just going to bring it down maybe up to row 30, and you can see all my different random numbers between 10 and 75 put in there. Now what I want to do is I want to take this first row, and I want to add up all of these, and I'm going to put a formula in column I. So the easy way would be, again, a formula. We start with E, and another word for plus will be sum. So we use the formula equals sum, open bracket, I click on A1 and I drag it over up to H1, and you can see as I do that, it shows here in the formula bar. I close the bracket and I press enter, and there's my answer. Now this answer may change because each time I put a new formula in, the random numbers change as well, but it will always be the total of that row. Now if I would take that same formula, okay, so before I do that, if I wanted to do it for the next row, of course, now it's the sum of A1 to H1. So if I wanted to do it for the next row, I would have clicked here and said equals the sum of A2 up to H2, and there's a small mistake on my formula, so let's just rectify that. Okay, A2 to H2. I close the bracket or the parentheses if you want to, and when I press enter, you can see my answer over there. Now that will take me a long time, especially if you think about Excel being like thousands and thousands of cells, and each one of these could have been filled. You can just see it kind of continues and continues with millions of cells. Okay, so there must be an easier way. Now I'm going to show you first. I just want to highlight this a little bit, so I'm going to bring this down a little bit. You can see a little bit more, and over here I'm just going to make it red, just like you would have done in Word or one of the other programs. Okay, so it's red. Now if I would go again onto this little square there, and it changes to a black plus sign, and I click on it, I pull it down, you can see how it changed. And each time when I click on the next cell, you'll see now it's the sum of A2 to H2, or on this row A5 to H5. So Excel used that formula that I used in column I1, and it just changed it to the same for the next row, but being in row 2, row 3, and so on. So just by clicking there, pulling it down and taking it down right to the end, okay, up to there, and there I've got totals for all of those. So if I want to do the same here at the bottom, I want to get totals for column A, I would put equals sum, open bracket, and then I would select the section that I want. Now I've started at the bottom, but I could have started at the top as well, and I just keep on going until I'm right at the top. And there's something that we really do not want here. Okay, so let's get rid of it, and there's a mistake as well, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So it must be from A1 up to A29, and I close my bracket and enter, and you see there's my total. I can make this red as well, just so it stands out a little bit. Change this outline plus sign to a solid plus sign when it goes over that little square, pull it to the right, and these are all my totals. Okay, for each of those columns I've got a different total. Now each time I click in a cell or I change a formula, especially when I work in the formula, you can see that the numbers change, because for example this 1254, 1239, and so on. So when I enter here, you can see how this changed because the random numbers changed. So what I want to do now is I want to change these random numbers to static numbers. So instead of having a formula here, if there's a 36 in this cell, I want to keep it at 36. If there's a 49 here, I want to keep it at 49. What I do is I select all that I want to change. So up to there, I've selected all my random numbers, and now I right click inside, try again, right click, and then I go to excuse me, before we do that, we copy. So we can probably just double click or right click as well, put copy, or I could have said Control C, on the Mac of course Command C, and then I would right click and paste, or Control V, Command V on the Mac, and I would paste. When I paste it, oh my, it still stayed the same, although the random numbers changed. So nothing really helped. So I'm going to do that once more, but this time I'm going to select all of this again, and we're going to keep watch over a few cells. So this one's 42, 34, 72, 36. I copy, Control C or copy, so just so that you can see I'm right clicking, copy. I right click again, and then instead of pasting, I'm going to go to paste special, and you'll see when I go to paste special, there's a lot of different things that we can select. So on one of these radio buttons where it says values, I'm going to click there and say only paste in the values, meaning do not paste in the formula. I just want the 42, the 34, the 72, the 36, and so on. So just the values. And when I press OK, look there, 42, 34, 72, 36. But look up here. What do you see? Only the number, only the number, only the number. And each time, formula is gone, but we still have the number. So that's a way that we can make this static, and then my answers will of course not change because my formulas will stay the same.